I'm so excited to have Keli join us to share her expertise with this community. Keli has years worth of experience collaborating with different functions across the firm, such as CI, BD and marketing, KM, and finance. And she's worked with them to create an agreed upon reality. So, Keli, tell us where this idea of agreed upon reality comes from and why it can be so hard to find data alignment across these functions at a firm.
Hi, Rachel, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here. Thank you, LMA. Um, Keli Whitnell, the idea of an agreed upon reality really came out of a moment that I think is going to feel familiar for a lot of people. This was years ago, early in my career. I was sitting in a meeting with CI, BD, finance people, and we were all looking at what I went into the meeting as thinking was a very straightforward report, right? What are active matters? We were all looking at the same thing, same filters, same dashboard. And as we started talking, it became painfully obvious that we all had a different definition of what active meant. One person said active matters are what is being currently billed to. Um, Regardless of the fact that currently is somewhat subjective. Another person believed it meant anything opened within the last year, regardless of whether it was being currently billed to. Someone else said any matter that's not marked as closed, which feels like a very similar definition to currently billing, but actually it's drastically different. And then someone else said, doesn't it mean all of the above? And that was a real light bulb moment for me, right? The problem wasn't the data and it wasn't the dashboard, is that the problem is we weren't starting from the same meeting. And until you fix that, there's really no amount of reporting or tools that is going to create that clarity. Um, I think what makes it hard to align these functions in a firm is each of these groups are looking at it through a different lens, right? BD is looking at client relationship. They're looking at pitch life cycle. Finance is thinking in terms of billing activity and revenue behavior. CI sees patterns and competitive context. And then our KM, our firm intelligence people are thinking in terms of classification and reuse and structure. So, um, all of those perspectives are valid, but they're different. And when they're not intentionally aligned, the same number can tell four different stories, which I think is a lot of people can understand. It erodes trust, it slows decision making, and it really, I think, compels people to create silos and then work within those silos.
Thanks, Keli. I love that example. I'm sure those that are listening have kind of been in similar conversations. And to your point, then that leads to four different dashboards, maybe instead of
Mhm.
one, because everyone kind of has their own needs instead of kind of working together. So, what simple things can teams start to do to create this kind of agreed upon reality? What sort of advice would you give to those listening?
Sure. Think the great news is you can make huge progress with just a few small things. Um, you really have to talk to each other. Just start talking to each other. It doesn't require a technical mindset, an IT mindset to ask questions. So start small and map one data point, right? Pick something like active matters, client revenue. Find out, where does the data live? What systems does it touch? Who owns it? And then document it and share it, right? You're going to always, I think, find gaps and overlaps and mismatched definitions, but it's all hiding in plain sight. Um, and I think that documentation and sharing, it's one of those things that people assume is happening, and a lot of times it's not. So again, just do it. And then I think the next habit is you really want to define before you design. So before you build a dashboard, before you launch a new report, agree on what key terms look like and actually mean it. right? We started with this idea of an active matter. And then we realized through conversation we needed a little bit more context, right? How do we represent, maybe last time entry date's valuable. When was the last time it was billed to? Maybe total hours. So sometimes it uncovers needs that some of these other business units need for their own perspective. Um, and then governance, right? Just figure out governance, write things down, share them, put them directly in the report in the dashboard, um, so that those definitions are easy to access, they're consistent. And then I think a third habit is it then becomes sort of a lightweight governance, right? Definitions can drift, processes can change. There can be new feeds, new tools, new needs. So have regular touch points when you're creating these cross-functional dashboards. A quarterly meeting, get together, review what you've documented previously, agree on it, discuss if some, use those touch points to iterate and improve the tools that you've been developing. It's small, but those small things build consensus. I think it really gives groups ownership and real enthusiasm to participate in these dashboards, these reports. So, and then again, don't feel like you have to be technical. Anybody can guide these conversations. So, um, don't hesitate when you see don't assume someone else is going to do it. And then, like I said, just don't hesitate to jump in and do it yourself, offer it yourself.
I love that. So much good guidance packed into this conversation. Thanks so much, Kelly. I love define before design. That one's gonna be a good standout. Along with just really kind of cross collaboration. I know kind of easier said than done, but like you said, even quarterly meetings. And since I know this is specifically CI focused, so many CI practitioners really kind of know the firm, know the data. So don't hesitate to speak up, introduce yourself to kind of colleagues in kind of other business units because you've got a lot of value to add and a lot of great perspective when it comes to firm data. So thanks again for joining us, Kelly, and appreciate all your wisdom.
Thank you so much, Rachel. It's been a great conversation, and I'm sure my contact information's out there if anybody wants to talk, brainstorm, or just commiserate a little bit. I'm always around.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kelly.
Thanks, Rachel.